The beach is usually a place of joy. The sun beats down on the sand, the waves crash with a rhythmic, soothing sound, and the smell of salt hangs in the air. Tourists walk along the shoreline looking for seashells or sea glass. But sometimes the ocean spits out something that does not belong in the sun. It spits out a warning. Imagine the scene. A group of people gathers near the water's edge. They are pointing, they are whispering. Lying in the surf, thrashing weakly, is a creature that looks like it fell out of a mythology book. It is silver, incredibly long and flat like a ribbon. It stretches for 15, maybe 20 feet. It has no scales, just a shimmering metallic skin that reflects the sky. On its head, a crest of bright red fins stands up like a punk rock mohawk or a royal crown. This is the oarfish, the king of herrings. And according to folklore, its arrival means the ground is about to break. For centuries, especially in Japan, this fish has been known as Ryugu no Tsukai, the messenger from the sea god's palace. The legend is simple and terrifying. The oarfish lives in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean, the places where the tectonic plates meet. It serves the dragon gods of the underworld. When the gods are angry, or when the earth is preparing to shift, the oarfish is sent to the surface to tell humanity that the end is near. It is a bad omen, a biological siren. Science, for a long time, laughed at this. They called it superstition. They said the oarfish is just a deep-sea dweller that gets sick or caught in currents. But then the data started to look strange. In the months leading up to the massive 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan, a disaster that killed thousands, over 20 oarfish washed up on the beaches. They threw themselves onto the sand as if they were desperate to escape the water. When the ground finally shook, the old men in the fishing villages didn't look surprised. They had seen the messengers. To understand why this happens, we have to leave the sunny beach and dive down, way down. The oarfish calls the mesopelagic zone home. This is the twilight zone of the ocean, reaching depths of 3,000 feet or more. Down here, there is no sunlight. The pressure is immense. The water is cold and still. The oarfish doesn't swim like a normal fish. It doesn't use a tail to propel itself horizontally. It hangs vertically in the water column, like a silver column, using its long red dorsal fin to ripple and maintain its position. It looks like a sword suspended in the darkness. This vertical posture is key. It is scanning the water above, looking for the silhouettes of krill and tiny shrimp. It is a ghost in the deep. But its home is dangerous. The deep trenches of the ocean are often situated right on top of fault lines. These are the scars of the planet, where the continental plates grind against each other. Before an earthquake happens, there's a buildup. The rocks are under stress. They scream silently. This is where biology meets geology. When massive tectonic pressure builds up deep underground, it releases electrostatic charges. It releases ions into the water. It can even change the temperature of the currents. The oarfish, being a creature of deep sensitivity, feels this. It's like living in a house where the walls start to vibrate before the roof collapses. The theory suggests that the buildup of static electricity and the chemical changes in the water cause the oarfish pain. It disorients them. It shocks their sensitive nervous systems. The deep water, their sanctuary, becomes a torture chamber. Panic sets in. The only way to escape the electrified, pressurized water is to go up, to flee towards the surface. They are not coming to warn us out of kindness. They are fleeing a house fire that we cannot feel yet. The ascent is fatal. The oarfish is built for the deep. Its body is gelatinous and soft. It lacks the hard bones and heavy muscle of surface fish. As it rises, the pressure drops. The gases in its body expand. The temperature rises. By the time it breaks the surface, the fish is already dying. Its internal organs are failing. It washes onto the beach, a beautiful, tragic suicide victim, driven mad by the rumblings of the Earth's crust. This connection explains the sea dragon myths found in almost every maritime culture. Look at the old maps from the 1500s and 1600s. They're drawn with monsters in the corners, giant snakes rising from the water, attacking ships. These weren't hallucinations. They were oarfish. An oarfish at the surface, thrashing in the waves, looks exactly like a sea serpent. It is long, snake-like, and has a red mane. If a sailor saw one of these 50-foot giants, and they can grow that big, swimming near his boat just before a massive storm or an earthquake, the legend writes itself. We saw the dragon, and then the world fell apart. The skepticism remains, of course. Scientists point out that oarfish wash up in years where there are no earthquakes. They point out that earthquakes happen without oarfish. They call it illusory correlation. Just because the rooster crows doesn't mean he caused the sun to rise. But the deep-sea geologists are not so sure. They know that animals possess senses we do not. Dogs bark before tremors. Birds leave the trees. Why wouldn't a creature that lives directly on top of the fault line feel the shift first? Let's zoom in on the creature's face. It is alien. The eyes are large and staring, typical of deep-sea animals that need to catch every photon of light. The mouth is a protruding, toothless tube. It sucks in water and filters out the tiny prey. It looks innocent, almost surprised. It is not a predator that eats humans. It is a gentle giant. The terror it inspires comes entirely from context. It is the context of doom. Imagine a fisherman in Peru. It's early morning, the fog is lifting. He pulls in his net expecting anchovies. Instead, he finds a heavy silver mass. He struggles to haul it on deck. When the creature spills out, the other fishermen recoil. They make the sign of the cross. They know what it is. They don't take photos for Instagram. They check their homes. They check their families. A few days later, a magnitude 7.0 quake hits the coast. The coincidence is hard to ignore when you're living in the rubble. The oarfish is a perfect example of how much we still don't know about our own planet. We have satellites that can read a license plate from space, but we cannot predict an earthquake with 100% accuracy. We rely on sensors and data. Nature relies on instinct. The oarfish has survived for millions of years by being sensitive to the environment. If the environment tells it to run, it runs. The texture of the fish is unique. It doesn't have scales like a trout. Its skin is covered in guanine, a substance that makes it shiny. But this skin is incredibly fragile. If you touch it, the silver rubs off on your hands like glitter. It is delicate. This fragility is a reminder of where it belongs. It belongs in the suspension of the deep, where gravity is weak, and nothing touches it. The surface world is too harsh, too bright, and too rough for it. There is a specific phenomenon called the liquefaction. When a big earthquake hits, solid ground turns into liquid mud. Buildings sink, cars are swallowed. The oarfish coming from the water represents this liquidity. It is a creature of the liquid world invading the solid world, blurring the lines just before the solid world loses its integrity. It's a poetic metaphor for the chaos of a natural disaster. In recent years, sightings have increased. California, Mexico, the Philippines. Social media lights up with photos of people holding the long silver bodies. They smile, they pose. They don't know the history. They don't feel the dread that the ancestors felt. They just see a cool, weird fish. But the comment section is always full of warnings. Check the fault lines. Prepare for the big one. The folklore has moved from the campfire to the internet, but the message is the same. The video captures the eerie beauty of the fish swimming in shallow water. It ripples. It is mesmerizing. It looks like a piece of aluminum foil coming to life. But looking at it, there is a sense of wrongness. It is out of place. It's like seeing a polar bear in the desert. You know that for this animal to be here, something catastrophic has to be happening in its natural habitat. The system is broken. The seismic connection is being studied more seriously now. Researchers are looking at the correlation between deep-sea animal beachings and electromagnetic disturbances in the crust. Maybe the myth is just science we haven't quantified yet. Maybe the oarfish is the most expensive, advanced biological sensor on the planet, and we're just ignoring the data because it comes in the shape of a sea monster. The final thought is a chilling one. We live our lives on the crust of the earth, assuming it is stable. We build cities, we drive cars, we sleep in beds. But just beneath us, miles down, the plates are grinding, the pressure is building, the clock is ticking. And in the black water, the oarfish is the first one to hear the alarm. When it decides to leave its home and die on our shores, it is trying to tell us something. It is telling us that the dragon is waking up. So, the next time you see a news report about a giant silver ribbonfish washing up on a beach in California or Tokyo, don't just look at the size of it. Don't just marvel at the red fins. Look at the ground beneath your feet. Feel the vibration. And ask yourself if the messenger has arrived to deliver a warning you are not ready to hear.